Have you ever asked yourself why it is easier to show compassion to others than to ourselves, especially during challenging times? This question brings us to the doorstep of a concept, a state of mind, a way of being that we often overlook: self-compassion. You see, self-compassion isn't just a fancy buzzword. It's a fundamental part of our emotional well-being. It's not about wallowing in self-pity or indulging our every whim. It's about acknowledging our own suffering, recognizing our common humanity, and treating ourselves with kindness. Imagine treating yourself with the same level of understanding and care you'd offer to a good friend who's going through a tough time. That's what self-compassion is all about. In a world that often demands perfection, self-compassion invites us to embrace our imperfections, to be gentle with ourselves when we stumble or fall. So let's embark on this journey of self-discovery together. Today we explore self-compassion, a key ingredient to a fulfilled and balanced life. Self-compassion isn't a single act, but a combination of three essential elements. These elements work in harmony to foster a nurturing and understanding relationship with oneself. Let's delve into each of these components. Firstly, we have self-kindness versus self-judgment. Self-kindness is about being gentle and understanding with ourselves rather than harshly criticizing and judging. It's about acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes and that it's a part of being human. We should not berate ourselves for these mistakes, but rather approach them with kindness and understanding. On the other hand, self-judgment is the harsh critic within us that amplifies our flaws and mistakes, often leading to feelings of inadequacy. By practicing self-kindness, we can silence this inner critic and foster a more loving relationship with ourselves. Next, we have common humanity versus isolation. Common humanity is about recognizing that we're not alone in our experiences. Everyone goes through hardships, everyone struggles, and that's a shared human experience. This understanding helps us feel connected rather than isolated in our suffering. When we isolate ourselves, we tend to think that we're the only ones experiencing difficulties, which can lead to feelings of loneliness. Recognizing our common humanity allows us to see our experiences as part of the larger human experience, fostering a sense of belonging and understanding. Lastly, we have mindfulness versus over-identification. Mindfulness is about being present and aware of our feelings without judgment. It's about acknowledging our feelings as they are, without trying to suppress or exaggerate them. Over-identification, however, is when we become so wrapped up in our feelings that we lose perspective. Mindfulness helps us to maintain a balanced perspective on our feelings, fostering emotional equanimity. So, there you have it. The three essential elements of self-compassion are self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. These elements help us to create a nurturing and compassionate relationship with ourselves, allowing us to navigate through life's challenges with grace and resilience. Understanding these elements helps us to cultivate a compassionate approach towards ourselves. You might wonder, why should I cultivate self-compassion? What's in it for me? Well, let's delve into the compelling benefits of self-compassion. When we speak of self-compassion, we're not just talking about a feel-good concept. It's a potent tool that can transform your life in profound ways. Firstly, self-compassion is a gateway to increased happiness. When you're kind to yourself, you cultivate a sense of contentment and satisfaction. It's like being your own best friend, someone who's always there to cheer you on, comfort you, and bring joy into your life. Secondly, self-compassion is a powerful antidote to anxiety and depression. When you're compassionate towards yourself, you acknowledge your feelings without judgment. You allow yourself to feel without letting those feelings define you. This approach can help you navigate emotional turmoil and reduce the intensity of negative emotions. The third benefit is improved personal relationships. When you practice self-compassion, it spills over into your interactions with others. You become more understanding, more forgiving, and kinder. This, in turn, enhances your relationships, creating deeper connections and fostering mutual respect and understanding. Lastly, self-compassion boosts resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes it can feel like you're in a constant state of struggle. But when you're compassionate towards yourself, you increase your ability to bounce back from adversity. You learn to see failures and setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than as defining moments. These benefits collectively contribute to your overall well-being. They help you cultivate a healthier mindset, an optimistic outlook, and a resilient spirit. With self-compassion, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're able to handle life's challenges more effectively and embrace the full spectrum of your human experience. So self-compassion is not just a nice to have, it's a must-have. It's a life skill that can enhance your happiness, reduce your stress, improve your relationships, and boost your resilience. As you can see, self-compassion is not just about feeling good, it's about fostering a healthier, happier, and more resilient you. Despite its benefits, many misconceptions surround self-compassion. It's a phrase you may have heard or even believed yourself. Today we'll examine some common myths and misconceptions about self-compassion and clarify what it truly means to be kind to oneself. One of the most prevalent myths is that self-compassion is a form of self-pity. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. Self-pity is an isolating behavior, making us feel separate from others and our suffering. In contrast, self-compassion fosters a sense of shared human experience. It allows us to acknowledge our imperfections without judgment and understand that everyone, at some point, experiences the same feelings of inadequacy or hardship. Another common misconception about self-compassion is that it leads to complacency. Some believe that by being compassionate to ourselves, we're letting ourselves off the hook and promoting laziness. Yet, research shows that self-compassion is a powerful motivator. It encourages us to learn from our mistakes and improve, rather than punishing ourselves and fostering a fear of failure. It's about recognizing that failure is a part of the learning process, and that self-improvement is a journey, not a destination. Finally, some people label self-compassion as selfish. They argue that we should be focusing on others' needs before our own. However, self-compassion is not about ignoring the needs of others. In fact, it's quite the opposite. By taking care of ourselves, we are better equipped to help others. It's like the safety instructions on an airplane. You need to put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. So, self-compassion is not about self-pity, complacency, or selfishness. Instead, it promotes personal growth, motivation, and a sense of interconnectedness. It's about acknowledging our human imperfections, understanding our shared experiences, and treating ourselves with the same kindness that we would extend to a dear friend. By debunking these myths, we can appreciate self-compassion for the powerful tool it truly is. And in understanding its true nature, we can begin to cultivate a more compassionate relationship with ourselves. Now that we understand self-compassion, how do we cultivate it? Self-compassion isn't something that magically appears overnight. It's a practice, a journey, and it takes time. So let's dive into some practical ways to cultivate this virtue. Firstly, we must practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being present, being in the current moment without judgment or criticism. It's about noticing our feelings and thoughts, acknowledging them without trying to change them, or berate ourselves for having them. So, when you're feeling stressed or upset, take a moment to just breathe. Sit with your feelings. Acknowledge them. There's no need to run from them or change them. They're just feelings, and they're part of the human experience. Secondly, let's replace self-criticism with self-kindness. We can be our own worst critics, but self-criticism can be incredibly damaging. So the next time you're tempted to criticize yourself, stop. Instead, ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Chances are, you'd be a lot kinder to them than you would be to yourself, so why not offer yourself the same kindness? Finally, recognize our common humanity. We're all human. We all make mistakes, and we all have flaws. It's part of being human. So instead of isolating ourselves in our suffering, let's remember that everyone experiences hardship. It's not just you. You're not alone. Now, these are just a few ways to cultivate self-compassion. It's not an exhaustive list, and what works for one person may not work for another. The key is to try different methods and see what resonates with you. And remember, it's a practice. Some days will be easier than others. That's okay. Start by integrating these practices into your daily routine. Maybe it's 5 minutes of mindfulness in the morning, or replacing one self-critical thought with a kind one each day. Small steps can lead to big changes. Remember, cultivating self-compassion is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself as you learn to be kinder to yourself. In conclusion, self-compassion is about being our own best friend, especially in challenging times. It's a conscious effort to treat ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and patience we'd show to a dear friend. We've discussed the 3 elements of self-compassion: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Each plays a vital role in how we perceive and deal with our shortcomings and failures. The benefits of self-compassion are numerous. It reduces negative states like anxiety, depression, and stress, while promoting positive attributes like happiness, resilience, and optimism. We've also debunked common myths that self-compassion is a form of self-indulgence or a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a strength that fosters personal growth and well-being. Cultivating self-compassion is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous learning and growing, becoming more mindful of our feelings, and responding to them with kindness and understanding. May this journey of self-compassion lead you to a more fulfilled, balanced, and resilient life. Thank you for joining us today.